Good evening and welcome to the Graham Craig Root Show. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Tonight's show is sponsored by none other than NSU Media. If you're in need of a studio for podcasting, studio TV, or even if you need a DJ or a magician, or if you want to be part of our in-house makeup with Tiger Training Academy, then get in touch with NSU Media. Who am I joined by tonight? Ireland's, in my opinion, next top model, Daniel Ryan, Cara Murray, Catherine Murray, Gilroy. Daniel, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You're a long way down from Tipperary, as they say today.
Very long, yeah. It wasn't too bad. Working at the end, so yeah.
I'm loving the hair.
Yeah, it's different, all right.
Where did you get the motivation or inspiration for that?
Well, Paul Mac from town, definitely.
It definitely has Paul Mac written all over it
over
anyway.
it,
You know
100%.
Paul Mac created that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure at the start, but he showed me before what he'd be doing on me, and I just went with it and see what would come out, and came out perfectly and I was really happy with it.
No, so I see from Instagram, I see Irish Arabic. It's and then there's a bit of Dublin there and there's a bit of Nina there as well. So explain all that to me.
So really my father is Arabic and my mother is Irish, and by my skin as well, so I do look at it as well.
Not on the beds, because I'm
everyone's saying that to me.
I'm going to Gran Canaria in 2 weeks. I'm on the beds, no. So definitely.
Yeah, well, people do say I do be on the beds, and I'm not
own the fact that your dad's Arabic, because I wish mine had been so I wouldn't be on the beds, frankly, at the moment. Tell me, Mr. Cork, how did that come about?
Oh, well, it was a great experience. David Keller got me onto it as well, and yeah, I loved every single bit of it. I didn't have much of a prep for it, but when I was there, it's great. It was good experience as well, because I've never done anything like that before, and if I was going to represent Cork, we.
And what's for me, say if to enter a competition like that, so it's you need great confidence behind you, because there's all different kind of elements behind it. How did you feel like you were exposed?
Well, see, I've only been doing this modelling thing for the last year and a half now, and I'm only still getting used to it as well. And I'm only trying to build my confidence as well. I didn't have much confidence before, but I feel each week, more stuff that I participate in, and do, I just feel like my confidence is growing a lot more, and coming onto this now, boosts it even more,
And do you find Instagram is a good way to showcase?
It is, but then it isn't, because it's not you're doing it in front of actual people, if you get me, but if you're something like this is definitely something that would help me a lot more. Instagram is just taking a picture and you're posting it, and
yeah. But some of your photos are not just standard photos. They're good photos. You're looking you're certainly in shape. Fitness is a big part of your life.
Yeah, I like to keep fit now. Definitely. I go to a gym back home in Nina called the Fitness Factory. A very good gym. Everyone there is really nice, and you're welcomed there every time you want to be there. And that's more motivation, and especially if you're doing modelling as well. I want to be trying to be the fittest I could be, to look.
Exactly. And even for your mental health as well, because we see at the moment, guys from Love Island there, unfortunately Mike, he passed away recently. I know fitness is great for mental health, but I see you there now. You're highly fit, you're into your gym, you're stylish, you're sleek. Love Island is definitely looking for applicants at the moment.
Definitely would go for 100%.
Yeah? Yes, the luck. I know, we've two ladies here, they're even getting excited.
25 years younger.
So, ladies, how are you? All the way up from Middleton?
Yeah, that's it. Not as far as Tipperary now, but...
Carol, busy few weeks, unfortunately. I suppose if we go back, we spoke previously, but if we take it back to just a couple of weeks ago and explain kind of what I would call a worst nightmare in a phone call situation, talk us through that.
Well, I suppose the last time I was here now, I was really hands-on, whole body on campaigning, and I suppose just before Christmas I kind of pulled back a bit, because even though I was there with the kids, I was still a million miles away, so I wasn't feeling great physically, so I went back to one of my specialists, who is literally the only doctor that I trust. I don't name any names, but I went back and she said, look, you're going to, because I'm going through the menopause, I said the last time and stuff, you know, and I suppose they did a pregnancy test years ago on me, the gynecologists were checking my hormone level, took me off my hormone drug, and I found out after that they actually were doing pregnancy tests instead of the hormone level check. So basically my specialist is trying to get me into a certain specialist to help me with the menopause, because it's all over the place. So there's that, my bone specialist, other specialists she wanted me to check in with and stuff. So I've been waiting and waiting, and I suppose 3 weeks ago I still hadn't heard any appointments, and this was since January, and I'm due to meet her next month again. So I was saying I want to be after all these appointments. And also I was just telling them, look, that I'm not feeling well, like I haven't been really, like I've been so tired all the time, headaches, constantly feeling nausea. Like I said, I thought I had to do with campaigning, but even when I pulled back I was still feeling the same. So I was saying this to the doctor anyway on the phone, and I was actually at another part of the hospital, and I told him that, I said, I don't even have the energy to come down to you. I said, I had to ring you. And he said, oh geez, that sounds like it's to do with your pituitary gland issue. And I said, what do you mean? I didn't know I had something wrong with my pituitary gland. And he said, oh yeah, he said, I'm looking at your brain scan here. He said, you have a growth in your pituitary gland, he called them lesions. Sorry.
I think them words though, I think if you think like brain scan and growth, automatically your mind goes to a place where you'd never imagine it going. Like that phone call,
oh, it was hard.
That will stay in the back of your mind.
Yeah, because he said a lesion, and I said, what's that? Even though I should well know, but he said a growth, but don't worry, it's benign. So I think I was just in a bit of shock then when I came off the phone and came home, and it was days. He goes, but you actually have an appointment next Tuesday, and I was like, all right, I didn't know that either, but it didn't surprise me then that I didn't know, because I'm finding out so much, you know, about my own health.
And am I to believe that you arrived for this alleged appointment to be told that you weren't even
with my
scheduled
sister,
for an appointment?
Because you were meant to come, but you couldn't catch and couldn't come. My sister came with me, and I checked in the counter. My sister sat down, and next thing, they called the name, and I was like, we started laughing. We were saying, geez, they're calling my name very quick. It was the fastest ever appointment, you know. Next thing, this other woman stood up. She said, no, I'm Carol Murray. So with that then, I was like, all right. And then I said, there must be a coincidence. So then you won anyway behind the counter, said, oh, you actually have no appointment. So with that then, I said, all right. And then I rang the specialist in, and they said, oh, there was a mix-up with the appointment, but it was definitely your diagnosis that file was read from. So with that then, I was starting to kick up, roared in. I said, look, I'm not leaving here till I see a hospital. They're telling me it's definitely my brain scan that was read and whatever. So anyway, they brought me down to a different part of the hospital for the doctor that I spoke to the week before to actually ring me. Now, bear in mind now, Graham, when I say this, we were in the same, this was in the oncology ward, so he was literally a few doors down the corridor and couldn't even come up and tell me, but he just said, look, I'm sorry, he goes, it was actually the wrong diagnosis, it was a different Carol Murray.
There's like a cowardly action there when they can pick up a phone but they won't come out and do it face to face.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know, like even the secretary was saying, look, will you just come out? She's out in the waiting area. She's very upset now. Some people probably think, geez, why is she crying? But it was because of the shock. I was happy and relieved, don't get me wrong, and touch wood, like, but the thing is, it was just a shock and another blow, do you know what I mean? Like,
I personally don't know how you have any confidence in what we see as like a very failed Irish loophole medical system.
But this is it, like, and that's why I had an appointment with my gynecologist straight after, you know, and I said that to him. I said, this happened to someone, I said, that number one, I said, has no trust whatsoever in the healthcare system, and number two, to someone that actually lives day in and day out of fear, you know. Like, I know anyone that has had cancer and is in remission, they always live in fear it's going to come back. And I'm not saying I'm anything more special, but I can't stop the fear, you know. Like, every day, I'm like, I could bang my foot and I think I have cancer back, and then for these things still to be happening, you know what I mean? It's just
whatever about 1 error. But like I think too, and I've spoken to people, and I've mentioned that you're coming on tonight, and another family I spoke to said they went in for a general procedure and they were mistaken for an amputation. And like you saying, I've heard your 2 previous cases, and like so you're with the error with the smear test, and then I'm hearing about this and like an amputation. Like it's like we can say understaffed, but something needs to happen.
But this is it. Like for example, that day, Graham, my sister was, because she was the one was my voice that day, because I was so distraught. I think I was in a bit of a shock, to be honest, because when he said that on the phone, I can't remember the rest of the conversation.
How many days had we between the phone call and the appointment? Was it a week?
A week, yeah, exactly.
Well, like, the anxiety that you would have gone through.
I didn't sleep, I didn't eat. She'll catch and tell you, like, she's catching and help out loads with my kids and stuff. But and emotionally supportive as well. But I couldn't for the whole week. It was like 6 years. Do you know what I mean? And like my sister said to them in the hospital, she said, when I ring my phone company, or if you ring, you know, your TV company or anything, they'd always say, what's your date of birth? What's your address? You know, they'd always...
Data protection, yeah.
You know, just to make sure they're giving out the right information, you know. And like, a simple thing, he could have done that to me the week previous, you know, just clarify your date of birth here for me. And not only that, as you said, data protection, it's also giving out someone else's details then as well, you know.
So like there's another lady with the same first name and surname as yourself, and you're now aware of that she's going through a medical condition. Yeah, by all means.
And
totally.
I actually
Everybody probably knows now.
Yeah, exactly. But it was what a way to showcase, say, Catherine, as a beloved auntie, someone who idolises Carol clearly. You've seen everything she's gone through. Go back to 2010 and you see the effects it has, like anxiety, depression, going through menopause way beyond her times. Now, so not being able to have any more kids, like, surely that would have an intense anger with the Irish medical system inside you.
Of course, and like when Carol was diagnosed first all those years ago back, like you have to remember her kids were very, very small, and like for us as a family, we were, I suppose, trying to keep it all together for Carol, trying to keep the positives, but every time we went up to the hospital, it kept getting more negative. And like then when she was told it was stage 3B, and the intense chemo and radium she had was just heartbreaking. And like even to go up to the hospital for when she'd get a turn or back, like to go through the A&E, like there's no oncology unit that you can just go in. Like when her bloods were low, we'd have to sit out in the waiting room because she couldn't be inside or sit out in the cafe because she couldn't be inside in the waiting room because of infection before she'd get transfusions or anything. And like it has been horrific. And like for her kids and for us as a family, like we were devastated.
I did watch a piece that you did today, Carol, and there was one part you said in the piece where you feel you've missed parts of your children growing up, and the years that you won't get back, like the young years, like so much has been taken from you. Like I think there's a lot of people that have something to answer to. And Leo, I believe he was in Middleton during the week, was he?
He was.
Great, yeah.
So Carol, tell me about that.
Well, I had spent all week up in the hospital with, as you know, with my son had an operation in his hand. Other mistakes might I add that happened in the hospital. But I was literally on the way back, and someone had rang me and said, do you know who's in town? Leo Vertiger. I can't say the name right. But he's in town. And I was like, all right. So I was told me what time the Middleton distillery, because there is a lot of Fine Gael heads inside in Middleton, and these gang were bringing them down, you know. It was a pure campaign stunt, might I add. But Carol wasn't long disrupting it anyway. But anyway, so I said, grand, so I organised the kids. My poor child only at a hospital, dropped him home, and I was practically gone. But my sister was like, Carol, you're actually going on adrenaline. She said, you're actually wrecked, like, can't you just go home and relax? And as I said to my sister, I couldn't sit on my couch at home now knowing that he's down the road, you know, when he's always in Dublin and you want to confront him. So I went down anyway with my signs.
Speaking of confronting him, have you ever been in a close proximity of him that you could have an exchange of words?
This day, yes. But this was my only time. There was a meeting with the Minister of Health with Simon one time, but I didn't go to it. But I went down with my signs, because I have signs ready-made for my other campaign and stuff. And I went down, and a friend I know was down there, and she was coming down just silly on. She came down, she heard I was going down, but she pointed out his car to me. So
that wasn't a clever move, because with the passion and the rage in you, you were certainly...
But I said to her then, right, I'm taking my signs over, get a picture of me in front of the car. So like after that, then they sent their driver out, so they must have seen me at the car, because the driver sat in the car for the other 2 hours while I was standing outside the gate waiting. But after that, one of the security fellas in the distillery, no, he was nice, don't get me wrong, came over and just said, look, I can't protest here. I said, if I put my signs down, can I stand and wait? And he said, no, because you didn't pay for a tour, so you have to go. So I was like, so he goes, but you can do what you want outside the gate. So I said, I can literally barricade Leo's car leaving here. That was the rage I had in me. I was going to lie across the road and literally stop him from driving, right?
Well, it is justified rage, because you think of the impact it had of you. Like, you're like how old? Like,
I'm 34 next week.
2
weeks.
You're currently going through the menopause, way beyond a time where you should be going through it. Now, I know people say you're blessed to have 2 children already, but the right for you to maybe
Still
have
a
a third or a fourth, you could have easily. So a lot's been taken away from you, and like we've had the cervical cancer scandal. Now, what's only happened in the last couple of weeks, by all means, you can act on the rage and the despair that you've been feeling.
I think by the time he actually came, because I was actually out there about 2.5, 3 hours waiting, right, on my own in the end, because it was short notice. But by the time he came, he sent one of the guards up to me from his PA, sent one of the guards I know up, and they felt I was a threat. I know him, and I said, look, I'm here on my own, I'm not going to do much damage on my own out to all his security around him. And he said, look, I told them that, but we just need to make sure. I said, look, Ren. So because they said that gave me more of a reason then not to actually make show of yourself and don't even scream or shout, because I wanted to ask him things about coming out, especially about the ex gratia, which I'll go into there now in a minute. But by the time he came out, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to stand here now dignified. I said, I'm not going to open my mouth, but he was passing me, so coming this way. And he was ushered over to the other side of the road from where I was.
Well, you think if he had any decorum about him, he might have stuck out his hand and
Well,
said, hi, Carol, Leo.
There was, coming towards me, there was loads of people. He passed and stopped and shook their hand. But you could see he was trying to avoid seeing me, but I stared him out until he looked at me. And he did. He looked at me and went like that and nod, no smile, no, not that I wanted it. I didn't want a conversation. I didn't want a picture with him or anything. But if he had to come on up, as you said, and introduce himself, I would have talked to him then. But I wasn't going to be the one. Someone else said, why didn't you follow him up the road? And I said, but I wanted...
You'd already spent hours outside.
I wanted him just to see me, that I was there with my signs on my own, representing the rest of the 221 women, do you know? And once he noticed me, my job was done.
But what annoyed me about him is for the fact that he's actually a trained doctor. And that, like, doctors are supposed to have empathy for people. And, like, he passed her that day as if he didn't care. And that was the end of it. He just didn't care, like.
Do you know what his face looked like? No, I would say to someone the other day, do you know when you know your child is just about to have a tantrum and you're pulling a face waiting for the tantrum? That's the way he was passing me. He had this dread in his face, like I was going to shout, and that made me to be more silent, because I think he wanted me to make a show of myself. I think he wanted me to be like, oh, look at this psycho one now screaming and roaring. But I didn't. I stood there and I gave my...
But even if it does come with a rage or a passion, it's justified rage and passion.
Yeah.
We need to remember, it's now 2019. Your nightmare started in 2010. You've had a 9-year nightmare. People go through life and they have a couple of weeks of a nightmare sometimes. But Carol, 9 years of a nightmare.
And, like, even though her cancer is, like, clear, thank God, it's a living nightmare, because with all the different ailments from her treatment, it's like she's actually like disabled, and I don't mean that now in a bad way, but like there's days there she can hardly get off the sofa because of the effects. You know, so they have an awful lot.
And would you say, Catherine, it's altered any kind of respect you've had for the healthcare system?
Oh, I'm horrified by the whole lot of it.
Like even a small little illness, even maybe a cold or flu, would you kind of be reluctant to go to your doctor, or have you passion in your local doctor now, or belief?
No. I not after last week when the misdiagnosis again of the growth and the pituitary gland, that finished me now. Like the week we put up, like not only Carol, but
it's in a family overall.
Oh my God!
Because,
and
like,
you're trying to keep positive.
And like, see, when you're a parent, you're maybe sheltering or altering a different version of yourself, and trying to show your kids that like, oh, all is good, when you're going through something, and after being told news that is utterly harrowing, And how you got through that week is beyond me. But yet you're Carol, you're being mum during the week as well.
I don't know.
Do you shelter from the kids, or did you sit
lot,
them down?
like there's a lot now. I do. They knew I was sick and stuff, but I suppose there's a lot now about this ex gratia, which I just want to quickly mention now before we finish up, that we're meant to be getting it at the end of February, and it's meant to be promised that we were getting it. And now we got an email today saying that we can do an application for the ex gratia. So they're giving us money to say sorry, but we have to like go all these strings attached, you know, that kind of way. Like I just wanted to add, you know, there's so much empty promises that are still happening. But in relation to your other question, I think my eldest son would realise a lot more than my youngest son, because he was still old enough. Like Catherine minded him when I had my chemo and radiotherapy, and
Like Jay was only a year and a half, wasn't he?
yeah, so Leon would remember me being sick, whereas Jay wouldn't. But like when I said that I know the campaign you were on about that you saw today, there was like a lot of years even since I got better that I have lost out with the kids, because as I said, I'm there sometimes in body, but my mind is a million miles away, or this constant fear, you know, of it coming back. And not only that, I was fighting for 5 years. I had another case to find out what went wrong, because I was getting tested for this. And
I know one big thing all along with you has been accountability. Have you ever got someone to hold their hands up and said, this
No.
is where an error was made?
No.
So it is utter cowardice.
But like even the night that we went up to the doctor and he told you were one of the 200 and something women, and we were there like fools then, like saying, oh, thank you, because he wasn't telling us the cancer was back.
we thought we were getting diagnosed, and I met him now the last day after the thing, and I'm actually after moving doctors from him now, because I told him about the misdiagnosis, and the response was, well, that has nothing to do with me. In other words, it wasn't in his department. And I was like, you know, that's the answer, that's the compassion you get back then, like, you know, when I was bawling, crying here, just after realising it was a misdiagnosis, and all I got then was, well, that has nothing to do with me. Do you know, this is still like, no, like I'm not saying we deserve to be treated like royalty or like anything, but they made the mistakes. They should at least give us some bit of compassion. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know, have a bit of respect, you know?
No, exactly. As a Simon Harris, feelings or thoughts towards there?
Yeah.
Well, I think I go back more to Mary Harney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Mary Harney was the one that actually put the smear test to America. And like my point about America is, like, I went to America last year and we have to get ESTAs to leave the country.
Yeah.
And yet they chose to send smears outside the country without any of our permission. And like if you were going for an organ transplant in the morning, they have to sort that out because you are a citizen of Ireland. But they chose to throw the smears out to America and nobody knew about it. So it really came back to Mary Harney from way back. But the rest of them have done nothing since to help it.
I think that with that, like Simon as well, yeah, there's a few promises that he didn't go through. But my fault would be more with Leo as well than Simon, because every time Simon has done or gone back on something, it's under Leo's
So your
order.
biggest overall dream or accomplishment, would it be a sit down with somewhere in Middleton, maybe the Middleton Park Hotel,
Yeah.
cup of tea, one-on-one chat,
Security
just
man.
yourself, no security, but so just to have that other like the respect of like
Yeah,
the
I'd love it.
9-year ordeal, with this newest addition to be added onto it, which is everyone's worst nightmare.
Like he went up to my place. I never went up there, didn't know he was going up there till I drove past it. But he was up there and had this big presentation up there with like different people, and I'm like, do you know, if he could do that just for a campaign, like why didn't he give other people the same respect, you know, like as you said, he could have come up and shook my hand, not that I wanted to shake his hand, can I just get that out there, but he could have come up, you know, and been the bigger person to come up to me, like.
And tell me, say Carol, the summer is fast approaching. With everything that's gone on, have we a family holiday to look forward to?
There's not, like straight out, like even with that ex gratia, it was one of the first things I was going to do, and I was saying I was going to book somewhere with the kids. Not only that, I think before I do go away with somewhere, I just had only said it to my aunt last night, I'm probably going to go away to England or somewhere, maybe in May somewhere.
Lovely.
Because I just feel I need a few days just to myself now.
Yeah.
You know, the kids are grand now and stuff. But
They'll come to me, yeah.
they're going to go to my aunt. She's great like that. But I think I just need to stay off the phone, stay off the internet, just go away for a few days and forget about it
Bit
all.
of a retreat.
You know?
Well, Carol, you look absolutely fantastic. Kat and I'm delighted to meet you tonight. Carol, I know we have an eventful summer ahead of
We
us.
do.
I'm going to be seeing you when a mutual friend is home
Yeah.
from Australia. I'm really looking forward
Yeah.
to that. Daniel, thank you so much for joining. I'm looking forward to watching your journey and watching you take off and taking the Irish Modelling scene by storm. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight's show is sponsored by Ensu Media. Catch me when we go live again next week. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you. Have a happy Easter.